Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. State Treasurer Dale Falwell, joined by our comm staff at the Treasurer's Office to uh, launch our 84th Ask Me Anything call with the members of the press who can dial in and ask me any question on any topic. There's obviously a lot going on, some of which I covered at the Council of State meeting about an hour and a half ago. And whether it's on that or any other issue that we have to discuss, I'll be glad to field any questions you might have. This afternoon, we're having our local government commission meeting. The Charlotte Mecklenburg School System will be presenting their proposal for the $2.5 billion bond referendum that just passed in Charlotte, and how they intend to spend that money, which will be coming up in front of the LGC in February. We're still dealing with a lot of important issues at the Treasurer's Office, and I just want to take this opportunity as we come into the new year to thank all of those that who work in the Treasurer's Office who keep us in the check delivery business. With that, we'll take questions. If you have a question, just raise your hand. Teresa?
Chip.
Or Chip? Go ahead, Chip. Hey, Chip, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what's going on with the state pension systems and its threat to the the credit rating, the possible threats going on there with what the legislature's been doing.
Are you referring to UNC ECU?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great, Chip. What's going on is that UNC Healthcare has been married to the pension plan for all of your life and most of mine. They had something written in the budget last year that says that starting last week, all new employees will no longer have the option of choosing between the pension system and this thing that they manage over there called ORP, Other Retirement Plan. In addition to that, once you're no longer connected to the pension system, it means you're no longer connected to the state health plan. So they are trying to divorce from the state pension system. They want to do that without paying the bill that they have here at the pension system, which is nearly $500 million and nearly $1 billion with a liability on the state health plan. It is a torpedo into one of the safest, most secure pension systems in the United States, if not the world. I think when you combine this with what Director of OSHR, Barbara Gibson, is doing, who works for Governor Cooper, when you combine it with what she's trying to do, which is to remove all of the flex products from the open enrollment platform that we have that allows people to get their dental, to get their child care, to get their health care benefits, all synchronized into one easy system. And you start following the legislation that was passed this year that allows Blue Cross Blue Shield to go into different lines of business. All you have to do to figure out why this transaction is occurring is follow the consultants, follow the lobbyist, and follow the money. There's nothing about what UNC Healthcare is trying to do that, in my opinion, is going to benefit anyone who works there who makes $40,000 a year. It's my opinion that they're trying to divorce completely as a state entity, and they want to do so, in my opinion, so that they can benefit the people who work there who make $400,000 a year. I'll be glad to take any follow-up questions you have.
How do you think this will affect the tax exempt status of the pension funds? And do you think will have a long-term effect on the state's excellent credit rating?
We don't know what impact it's going to have on the tax exempt status. Obviously, that's not something you know until it's too late. But I just want to drop back for a moment, as complicated as all this is, and ask one simple question of you and everyone else. What problem are they trying to solve? Currently, in the people who went to work at UNC Healthcare had a choice between the pension system and the ORP. So people who wanted the ORP could go all ORP. People who wanted the pension could go all pension. So they have taken away that right from their state employees so they can no longer choose. It's a serious concern. And I can tell you, it's my opinion, based on my experience at the Employment Security Commission with other types of issues, it's my opinion that if this is successful and if Director Barbara Gibson decides to do what she's trying to do to even create more chaos this year before the governor leaves office, I think that people will be able to look back and realize that this was a move to get rid of the pension plan of North Carolina by not funding it properly.
Thank you.
As far as the bond rating is concerned, if this did impact the bond rating, I would let you know. But I will tell you that the bond rating agencies have a very favorable opinion of North Carolina, especially since we're in the process of retiring 60% of our state debt over an 8-year period of time. But they also know, in looking at the bankrupt Social Security system of the United States, you can't have a system where less people are paying into the plan than are not. Next question.
Hello, this is Mary Helen Jones with Spectrum News. My question is, do you have concerns for the state employees who are on the pension plan if there are no longer these UNC Health workers also on the pension plan? Is there a larger impact to other workers across the state?
Mary Ellen, that's a not only a fair question, it's a great question. This would be like all the people at Spectrum News deciding to go out and have dinner, and then one of you leaves without paying their bill. So what that means is that everyone else left at the table is going to be paying the bill. So this will impact the agencies that are left in the pension plan, which is all of them except this one, because what we call the employer contribution rate, that percentage of the payroll that has to come from their budget into the pension system every year, that employer contribution rate is going to be going up because of the actions of UNC Healthcare. And it's not only that, but it's also going to impact the state health plan on top of that. So it's a good question, and the pension system remains one of the most sound and solvent in the United States. But at the end of the day, whatever puppeteer and lobbyist and who is behind this move, both at OSHR and at UNC Healthcare, once this is successful, it's my opinion that they're going to try to do it with other bigger state agencies, which is even another torpedo into the solvency of the plan. Mariette, follow up?
My only follow-up is, what can be done at this point?
Well, what can be done is the people at UNC Healthcare and ECU can come forward publicly and say that even though the General Assembly is requiring us to do this, we no longer want to do it, number one. Number two, it's important for you and everyone else in the call to see of how all this connects with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield losing their status as the third-party administrator for the state health plan after 43 years. Blue Cross Blue Shield's acquisition of subsidiaries based on this legislation that was so controversial this year, and how all this connects to the platform of what UNC, ECU, and Barbara Gibson and Governor Cooper are trying to do regarding creating chaos in this plan.
Thank you.
Laura?
Unmute myself, sorry. Okay, so I'm sorry, I need to back this up a little bit. Number one, what do you think the motives are for what you're basically accusing them of trying to do? I guess I'm not understanding what the benefit would be. Number two, how is the pension plan linked to the state health plan? Can you explain that?
I'll take the second question first. Unless there's some type of exemption, you cannot be a participant in the health plan unless you are a participant in the pension plan. Generally speaking, for retirement, number one. Number two, what are the motives? The motives somewhere, somehow are financial. There is, when people are encouraged to take their money out of what has been designated as the most efficient pension plan in North America 2 years in a row and put it somewhere that costs more, then the motive, it can only be money. And the Flex program under OSHR has had a checkered past in terms of people actually being, I believe, indicted and convicted for things that have gone on in the Flex program. But when you look at this in terms of the Flex program, changing the open enrollment, Blue Cross Blue Shield getting enabling legislation, and then UNC and ECU trying to divorce, you can see that all you have to do in this situation is follow the money. There's nothing good to come out of this for in terms of having pension and healthcare plans that are safer, more secure, and more efficient.
So you're saying, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that he's talking about Blue Cross getting these exemptions by other businesses. So are you saying that basically this is a way by Blue Cross of trying to get back some of the business that it's losing by losing the state health plan?
We are running that rabbit as we speak because in most every instance when we've asked OSHR direct questions about this, we've been told one thing and then we found out through public records something completely differently. And I would also say that, if the Office of State Human Resources or anybody in the governor's office is interested in killing the defined benefit pension plan, they just need to come out and say it. When I was elected 8 years ago, I said for as long as I was the state treasurer, I would protect, defend, sustain this state pension plan for this and the next generation of public service workers. I guess after 7 years, some people didn't think I was serious about that. So at the end of the day, this is all connects because of the subsidiary that Blue Cross Blue Shield owned a portion of, that now owns a larger portion of that subsidiary that I believe is going to be connected to the state health plan that UNC is trying to create. And the name of that company is called Brighton, BRIGHTON.
Okay. I will look into that. And one last question, different topic. I'm sorry if anybody else wants to go back, but just to change topics for a second. A lot of coverage right now about what's going on with the state health plan and the weight loss drugs. Can you comment on that at all? What's happening with that? It sounds like we lost a big discount somehow, and we're kind of in the hole on that.
Great question. The state health plan board of trustees that I chair voted starting January 1 not to cover for new subscribers who are written prescriptions for this highly expensive weight loss drug. During this whole process, as you remember, Laura, we were not questioning whether these drugs work, the drug adherence policies, the side effects. We were not questioning any medical part of this. What we were questioning and continue to question is what we're paying for it. And at the end of the day, we're now, through more reports that are coming out, are realizing that there's a whole industry out there that are writing prescriptions off the state health plan for this drug. I want to put this in some kind of context. The state health plan is the largest plan of its type in North Carolina, and one of the largest plans of its type in the United States. But even at that, with the state health plan, the prescriptions that are being written out of the state health plan, it looks like from our analysis, represent 2.6% of the national prescriptions for this product. Or no, in North America, excuse me. So if you just step back logically for a moment and say, how could a health plan, when we have 10 million citizens, 600,000 people who are not on, 500,000 people who are not those aside from the Medicare Advantage, how could a health plan with basically 500,000 people in a state of 10 million people, in a country of 300 million people, in a North American continent of even more than 300 million people, how could we be writing prescriptions and driving 2.6% of the sales of this product? Something is wrong. And I know that there are a lot of investigative reporters who are looking into who's actually writing these prescriptions and who they actually work for. So whether it's your first question, Laura, or this question, you just have to follow the money.
Were you made aware by Caremark CVS that if you paused those new prescriptions for the Wegovy, if you pause it, that you would lose the discount? Was that something that you were aware of when you made that decision?
Well, I think that the rebate situation that you might be referring to comes to us trying to negotiate with Novo Nordisk to get this drug provided to our members at a lower cost. And I'm gonna phone a friend here. Go ahead. Everything's attributed to me, Laura, but let me get the exact technical answer for you, okay?
We notified the board in October. The board was aware that they were running the risk of losing the rebates on the grandfathered prescriptions.
Right.
Now, even with the loss of the rebates, we will still spend less money this year than we were projected to spend if we were continuing to add users. It's just we're saving less than we had hoped to save by not covering new users. But it was the board had high hopes that the PBM and the manufacturer would come to the table and offer us a way to do this, but they have not been helpful and apparently are more interested in the bottom line.
Laura, let me add to what was just said, is that we are drafting or have already proposed an amendment to our PBM contract for our pharmacy benefit manager, CVS Caremark, to send to Novo Nordisk. If Novo Nordisk agrees to do that, then this whole rebate issue will go away. But so far, they have not agreed to do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Next. Raise your hand if you have a question. AP, did you have a question? I know you were looking at trying to getting in the system this morning.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was looking at the ramifications for the unfunded liabilities landing on other plan members and the $1 billion cost that was in the original press release when you first expressed concerns over this. I was wondering if you could flesh out a little bit how that move will impact the current employees that stay in the plan.
Thank you. Great question. The $1 billion was specific to the state health plan, and the $500 million was specific to the pension plan. In both instances, when someone is at a table of 8 and runs up a big bill in a restaurant and walks out without paying their bill, then the cost of the other 7 people are going to go up. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Either from the agency standpoint, on behalf of their employees, or somehow it manifests itself into the employer premiums. And prevents COLAs and all kinds of things. Yeah, follow up.
Nope, that was pretty much where I wanted to go with that.
Yeah. And by the way, for all of you who are still on the call, whether with what's going on at OSHR about them putting an amendment in their dental contract to talk to people about retirement readiness in a dental contract, whether it's OSHR trying to create its own platform and divorce from the platform where we have gone from 28 clicks to open enroll to 7, whether it's the ECU and UNC, anybody on this call who would want or desire or can get a meeting together anytime, any place, anywhere with the people in the other agencies or levels of government who are making these decisions, we will be there. I will be there as the state treasurer, and my subject matter experts will also be there, because what happens in these situations, because of the complexity of them, when anytime that somebody like you may make an inquiry, the other side says, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, or we're not going to be doing that at all. The fact is, we have emails saying they're going to do it. And so any of you who convene a meeting, a public meeting, to actually get the answers to these questions, because the people who are most in the dark right now about all of this are the state employees, especially the new hires at UNC. Any final questions? Okay. Thank you all for joining us. This is my last year as your state treasurer, and this being the 84th consecutive Ask Me Anything call is something that I always appreciate. Not only what our staff does to make this jump up on the table, but what all of you do to participate in this call. So if you have any follow-up questions or want to reach us on any topic, don't hesitate to reach out to our comms team, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.